Hi everyone, this is Atmospheric Science 210. This is Intro to Synoptic Meteorology. Lab number 2, where we look at analysis of weather charts and also looking at scalar fields. So here's a little bit of reading for you from Meteorology Today. Also, if you happen to pick up Howie's book on synoptic dynamic meteorology, you can look at that. There's objectives. But the first thing we're going to talk about is meteorological variables. And there are a lot of different variables. Variables are things that we use to describe what's going on with the weather. And they can either be observed or computed. Observed means that we have sensors that can directly measure those quantities, whereas computed means that we take those observations and manipulate them. So some examples of observed quantities, we have thermometers that can measure temperature, we have sensors that can measure dew point or amount of moisture in the atmosphere. Of course, barometers measure pressure or height as measured by a radio sonde or weather balloon, but then wind direction and speed and other things. And here's some examples on an upper level chart showing you station models, and these station models represent observations that are made by a radio sonde, by a weather balloon going up, reporting things like temperature, dew point depression, the height of a pressure surface, and also the wind direction and the wind speed. But also we can calculate quantities that will tell us something about the atmosphere. And some of them are kind of complex and some are pretty simple. Things like vorticity, the stability of the atmosphere using stability indices, vertical velocities that are calculated from numerical models, the convergence using equations. So there's a lot of different types of quantities that we can calculate if we know the observed quantities. We can use those to come up with some new values which we compute. Here's an example. Here's a 500 millibar chart showing you the vorticity that was calculated on this particular day. So of course we use observed values to get these computed variables. A couple some of the variables that we plot can be scalars. Now scalars are numbers or variables that just have a number. They have a magnitude but no direction. So things like temperature, relative humidity, dew point, vorticity are all, well, vorticity maybe not, but they're all scalars. Whereas another way of looking at data that we could plot on a weather chart, we can plot vectors. And vectors are quantities that have magnitude and also have direction together. A good example of this would be wind. And we can plot wind as far as the direction it's coming from. It has a direction and also it has a magnitude. In this case, it's coming from 300 degrees to 25 knots. That's the magnitude. But whenever we plot vectors, we always plot vectors with respect to the direction they're going towards. And in this case, the wind is going towards 120 at 25 knots. That's all I have for you for computed quantities and also observed quantities.